There's no way out of our power supply conundrum yet, and blackouts may be with us for a longer time to come. The federal government is yet to meet the 4,500 megawatt minimum target is set for 2022 in accordance with its power sector recovery program. Though data from the program's April fact sheet showed that 4,500 megawatts is the minimum level of supply needed for the grid stability and reduction of outages. Report from the Nigerian Electricity System Operator showed that only 3,839 megawatts of the electricity was sent to the distribution companies on the 19th of April. Jide, in recent times, I don't know, I don't want to talk about the number of times that we've seen system collapse. No, I want to talk about the number of times I've had power supply in my house. So, and that is what Nigerians care about. The situation is so bad now that we just permanently rely on generators.
Yeah, it's, we live in very tough times in terms of energy. We've complained about this problem for so long. Some people sit in the little corners of their houses and they say, electricity has improved because in their little corner of our country, they have consistent electricity. It is just by happenstance that such people enjoy electricity.
Not generalized.
If a country of more than 100 million, we are only able to wheel 3,839 megawatts. 3,000. When South Africa does consistently 42,000. That should tell you where we are. That should tell you we are not making progress in this area. And this Nigerian Electricity System Operator is not something that media houses put together. It is a product of the energy structure in our country. What I mean is that even the people provide us with energy, the power ministry is aware of this agency that has come up with this report. So this is on the average what we are able to do. If you cannot wheel Nigeria, yes, we have capacity to generate in excess of 12,000 megawatts. But it is not what you can generate that is the issue. It is what you can wheel. Because it is a relay. When you generate, it goes to the transmission, and from transmission to the distributors. If one leg of these three chains is broken, you cannot enjoy electricity. So if you are generating 10,000 megawatts, then what can the transmission company of Nigeria, which up till now we have refused to privatize? The question is, what can TCN will to the distribution companies? If they can't will all of what you have generated, then, or they can only will half of it, then the discourse will not be expected to produce magic, because it is from the abundance of what you give them that they are going to distribute to Nigerians. And the discourse have made it a habit to not give electricity to communities where they have a rash of debtors or energy thieves. They will give electricity to places where they are sure that they will be able to collect what the Yorubas call ojowo, those who will pay them. Those chronic debtors, they will not want to give you electricity. So this is the problem that we face. Look at Egypt as a country. Egypt is a true African giant in every sense of the word. Militarily in the Arab world, apart from Algeria, I don't know any country that can stand up to Egypt. Egypt today is an African country that has more than enough electricity. 100% of Egyptians have access to electricity. It has not always been like that. Oh, it just determination. When successive government make up their minds that they want to achieve something, then they apply themselves to it, they achieve it. Egypt is now thinking of, in fact, it's gotten into agreement to sell electricity to European countries, including Greece, Cyprus. That's an African country thinking of selling electricity. It has more than enough. It's now thinking of selling to European countries and even African countries that they described as power hungry, those who don't have enough.
Like we do to Ghana.
Through the sea cable, they will sell electricity to them. They transmit it to them through the sea cable. You lay cables under the sea. It gets to Cyprus. It gets to Greece. That's an African country selling electricity. My own country cannot even generate enough, not to talk of selling to Europe and Africa. The countries that we give electricity, Burkina Faso, what was it called?
Republic of
Benin, Niger. People say, why are we giving them electricity when we don't have enough? Because they don't know that when we wanted to construct the Kainji dam, we got into an agreement with those countries, because Nigeria is, when you look at River Niger, all the way from Futajalon, we are at the lowest point. If those countries dam the water upstream, you will not get water to do your dam. So we had to beg them, don't dam this river. We need it for a major hydropower project. And at that time, Kainji was the mainstay of our power infrastructure.
So that's the reason for the cooperation we have.
Yes. To stop them, look at the problem between Egypt and the problem between Ethiopia now and Egypt over the Nile River. It's the sort of thing that we wanted to avoid. So you are obligated to give them power. You will give them, because if they choose to dam it, that's 700 megawatts, because the stock capacity of Kainji is 700 megawatts. That's about, if they choose to dam it, you won't have access to the hydro plant, water for the hydro plant anymore. And you know, we have Kainji, we have Shiroro, we have Jeba. So are we going to endanger our hydro plants? We won't want to do that. So just give them their water, give them their power so that they can.
It's like a partnership thing.
Yeah, so that their own end of the bargain, they can keep it.
Lincoln, it's this situation that, I don't know, you said real projects, that you can see real projects in your lifetime in Lagos State, you are happy. I wonder if you can get 24 hours power supply in your lifetime.
It's something that is a bit scary. I wonder why we are hovering around this 4,000 megawatts. I think with the president's body language, in February 2016, we were able to get 4,100, and that has been the highest we've gotten. Installed capacity is about 12,000 or something mega, and then the TCN is about 7,000. That limits what you can transmit to start with. Now, I want us to look at the history of this thing and possibly the culture of our people. I look at how we dealt with the issue of telecommunications in Nigeria. Yes, we gave NITEL 0804, and then we expected them to move. They didn't move. Those who got 0802, 0803, and so on, they moved. And I know that some of the staff of NITEL who are indolent, not willing, not ready to work, left NITEL and joined these networks. And then they suddenly discover their work ethic. Do you understand? Now, I think what we ought to have done with these electricity things is not to sell these legacy things, but rather give fresh licenses to people, the same way we give to the GSM companies. And then if those people who work with these legacy power companies are prepared to seek employment with the new companies, they will not bring this culture of laziness. I hope you remember when Batnaji was Minister of Power under the Jonathan government, and he was riding hard and getting them to work. Do you remember that they were praying, they were doing night vigil because of that man, so that he would fail?
And he was voted out.
And then he was voted out, and they were all happy.
They waited for a small mistake.
Yes, and then they got him out. Do you recall that before he was let go, power was already settling down? We were in my place, in my house. When I'm going out in the morning, I will put off my fridge and freezer, because it became extremely cold, so that in a week, maybe they will take the power maybe 4, 5, 6 hours in a week in that Oregon axis where I was living then. Do you understand? But as soon as he left, the thing came, and then we started suffering, and then it's getting worse and worse. I understand in the last 1 or 2 months, we've had 5 breakdowns. And but why are we having breakdowns? But anyway, I think there's something is happening very soon. I think the National Assembly, in trying to amend the Constitution, said that now state governments can now establish their own, and they don't have to upload to the national grid anymore, because the law is that when it's a state government establishes and then generates wattage of a certain level, it must upload to the national grid. What you produce, you hold, you use. I understand that Lagos state government already has somewhere in Badagry with the plant ready. If this thing begins to work, maybe we need to, just as we are talking about state policing, we need to start having state electricity companies. I've lived in a country where it is privatized and it is regionalized. This region, the power is provided by a power company based within that region. And then that company pays its tax, does everything, links up, and go beside you. They supply you don't pay. They just come and remove this thing. You can't, if you connect it, they prosecute you. You can even go to jail.
But some of the people who are not paying here
our government,
federal agencies,
yes,
the armed forces, and all that. So who will go and even disconnect their electricity?
They don't give them money. They're owing them. They're owing them.
If you don't supply them,
that's right,
it's a problem. If you
supply them,
if you disconnect them, it's a problem. We still beat up electricity workers in this country. Some of them will drag them down
to your area.
Yes,
I think
beat them off.
They should quickly push the idea of this prepaid, so that there's no supply to you if you don't buy. So it's your own problem if you don't buy.
I also think even those ones may not still solve the problem, because given the size of our country,
investment into that sector
should be generating
massive.
More than this is shameful. 3,839. We can't do more than 4,000 megawatts for a country of this size.
To get us anywhere.
So we have to invest a lot more in off-grid. Off-grid power sources.
Exactly.
That is what more and more countries are doing. And God has blessed us so much that we can source power from wind, from the sun, solar, and other hydro, other sources, so many sources. South Africa, for example, relies on coal. They rely on coal in South Africa, and they are doing 42,000 megawatts daily. Wow. So we have to expand our power sources. We've been talking about the Mambila power plant for years, about 30 years. Nothing has happened. And it has the potential to be the biggest hydro plant in this continent. But what are we doing? It's been left the way.
If you know when I've been hearing about that Mambila,
I was there in 20 19, it has not changed. No road to the place. It's just wasting. We have opportunity. Other people don't have even the half of what it has pleased God to bless us with.
I don't know the number of budget circle that we've promised.
Anyway, there was a discussion that Siemens will intervene. And then suddenly,
yes, I think
no,
that's at last 2 months.
We are still in business with
they still
Siemens.
confirmed.
I just hope that
the intervention.
You know, Siemens helped Egypt to build power plants to increase their capacity. In our country, I don't know how exactly we are going to use Siemens. Is it in distribution? I want to use them. We need to use them, help us build more grid-connected power plants. Egypt has 40 grid-connected power plants. 40. For a country not as big as Nigeria, at least in terms of our population, if they have that much,
from research,
it's not a surprise that they have more than enough.
Successive experts in that sector, they've told us that it will take us investing millions of dollars for the next
billions of dollars for the next 10 years consistently
before we can solve this problem.
These current power companies, they don't have the wherewithal, they don't have the funding. The distribution companies, they don't have the funding. If we were bringing General Electric, for example, from the US, everyone knows, they have the track record, they are big, you know. We didn't bring such companies. People transited from being bankers to owners of generating companies in Nigeria. They don't have track record in the business. And they also didn't have enough money. So now they are struggling. Government has given them bailouts consistently. We've achieved nothing. So we need to encourage more investors to come into that sector, build more power plants, you know, build lines, gas supply lines, because gas supply is one of the problems that usually leads to system failure. Those power plants sometimes will not have access to gas, because we build power plants far away from source of gas supply. And these boys will breach the pipeline, then those power plants won't have access to gas, because a lot of them are these gas-fired plants, Egbe, all of them. They need the gas. Egbe is the largest gas-fired plant in West Africa, but many times they will not have access to gas. So how does Egbe come on stream if there is no access to gas? Gas is a major problem, one of the disruptive issues that we are facing in the power sector. Then there is a need to invest in replenishing, if I can use that word, of our transmission infrastructure. A lot of them are old. Those cables, those lines are old. They need to invest more in them. The government has done well in that area, but they still need to do a lot more.
Look, finally, and we just pray that we are able to maximize the potential. Apart from facing hydro, we've not done coal, we've not started doing solar, we've not started doing even nuclear.
Exactly. I recall living in the 60s, 70s on Lagos Island. And then after the establishment of the construction of the second mainland bridge, that's Eco Bridge. Driving past the kiln, the ECN, you saw the smoke, you know, about opposite National Theatre. You will see the power station there.
Okay.
And it's coal powered. And we used to just see the film going there. We knew that it was never, there's no time that you will never see smoke coming. It was always working.
Just to tell you, the power plant was working.
It was working. There's no time, you know. And, you know, but I think the problem is this: we just dropped the ball somewhere. You know, it used to be
And
that
that's what the South Africans are using.
it used to be that the NEPA or PHCN or whatever, they will say, oh, during dry season, they will say, oh, the water level went down. Then when there is rain season, they say, oh, the water level went too high.
Snakes entered.
Then suddenly they now keep quiet.
No,
Now
they can't
they have
say
passed
that
the
now,
blame now
because we have more gas-fired
Yes,
plants
they have.
now.
That's what I'm saying.
About
That's their
W10.
blame. They have now decided to push the blame now to gas. They say, oh, and then the gas company say, you don't pay us when we supply you. You understand? So it's I think the entire supply chain, there's need for
I have this caller.
To combing.
Damola is calling us from Songwater, Ogun State.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for staying with us.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Damola.
I just want to contribute in the area of security. I think this country, we're kind of deceiving ourselves. We all know that in this 21st century, open grazing can never work. Okay. And that is why the governor of Benue State, yes, still continue to feel it's not doing enough. These people, elders, it's either you come out openly and say, open grazing, I don't want it. And you stand your ground. It's not that today you say, open grazing, you don't want. Tomorrow, you organize a town hall meeting and you invite president, and we've talked. The leaders of the elders, they were here. Leaders of farmers, they were here. And we've made agreements.
Thank you, Damola. Thank you for your contribution. Well,
I think it was referring to the banana, the destruction of the banana plantation,
yes.
And by herdsmen and their cows. I think that was what he saw.
Okay.
Why he said they cannot work open grazing. We've seen governors, even northern governors, who are encouraging their people to stay localized in a place, not be roaming freely with cattle and destroying people's crops. These are the things that are causing this bloodshed. You can't destroy a man who had worked for months. When it's close to harvest time, you go enter his farm with your cattle, and they eat up his crops, and you don't expect his blood to boil. Of course his blood will boil.
There are some areas in even the southwest here, we're told that they are under siege now. They can't farm. If areas in Ondo State or some local government, Ijagba, Imoru, Ukeluse, Arimogija, all these areas, they say most of their villages that they are under siege there, that they can't go to.
I remember that people were killed in Ose the other day. You can't endanger people's lives because you want your cattle to graze freely. No, it's not. It's an antiquated way of life. The best thing is ranching, and I'm happy with the governor of Kano who came up with that ranch. And
that you want to do
visited, and I spoke with the herdsmen, the Fulani herdsmen. They said they are happy to be here. We are not going anywhere. This is a good place for us. Who would not like that? There's water provided for you.
Yes.
Constantly. There is even security. There's a police post. So cattle rustling, you will not happen.
There's even a reservation for them to start making milk.
Yes. Artificial insemination is possible there. And they were building a school for their children before I left the place. Maybe by now the school is even ready. So who would not like that? When they will have access to veterinary doctors, so instead of you going to the forest, going around, risking your life and risking the lives of farmers.